Hi, it's Amelie. Today for the Just Practicing, we're going to do The Flight of the Bumblebee by Rimsky-Korsakov. So that's a very well-known piece that's played, I think it's written for orchestra originally, but almost every instrument plays it, piano, flute, violin. And it is based on the chromatic scale. So some people say it's difficult, some people say it's easy. I think they're both right. It all depends on your level, because if you practiced your chromatic scales a lot, then it's not that difficult. But if you're new to chromatic scales, it's going to be a bit more difficult, and then you'll have to practice them, and you'll probably be very good at them at the end. So so a chromatic scale, to be just so I can explain it very quickly, is a scale in which you do all the semitones. So all the notes. Let's say you start on C, you do C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, and C. So all the 12 notes plus you repeat. So if you want to learn this piece, I would advise you to start learning your chromatic scales if you didn't start yet. You can start on one octave. Let's say I start on the C. And what is fun with chromatic scales is that you can group them by 2, 3, 4, or 6, and you always get an accent on the octave. I'll show you. So if I group it in 2, you see I always go back ta 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 ta. When I get to the next C, I'm ta, and then ta 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 ta. But if I do it in 3, ta ta, it works too. In 4, in 6, I think it's fun to group it in different ways, because this way where the beats are in different notes, so you will put a little accent on different notes, and makes it even more solid. So let's say one day I decide to practice them slurred by 3, or grouped by 3, but not necessarily tongued. I just slur everything. Once I'm done with the C, I do C sharp, then D, E flat, E, okay, and so on until I get to B. So I do it on each note. Sometimes I also like to start high and go lower. So let's say I start on a high G. So I have a sheet where I write down, last time I practiced my chromatic scales, did I start low, up, like low, go up and go down, or did I start high, down, high? So I try to do it differently once in a while. So start by learning them. Of course, like right now I played them fast, but if you're learning them, you should start maybe slurred by 2, a bit slower. I would advise you to take a metronome and know at what speed you're going. And once you're comfortable, you go a bit faster, a bit faster, a bit faster. And or what you can do is, let's say you're learning G major scale this week. You also do G major, the G chromatic scale, and you do 2 octaves. So and you start high and go low. I did by 3. You can do by 4, by 6. You try different ways. You can use rhythms, da 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 da. you can practice it in so many different ways to make it interesting and also make it more challenging, you know, different ways. It's just another input in your brain, and it makes it just more well known. So once you know that, you can also learn your chromatic scales by playing the piece, of course, you know. So here, it's not like a scale that only goes up or down. You have little, you know, you know, it goes down and back up and down and back up. So you have to learn that. And sometimes you have a tone, you have a whole tone instead of a semitone, and you should really be aware of where those things are. Okay, so let's do the first line. So that's all chromatic. Maybe you should try one beat plus one note. So of course, when you start, you can start very slowly and all detached like that first time you practice. I'm not doing it slow enough. You know, and then you can do one beat plus one note. So you do 5 notes, and then you redo let's say I do the first beat plus one note. So I end on the D, and then I start back on that same D, and I do the whole beat plus one note. So I end on the C, and I redo that C. So it goes like this. Then I can do it 2 beats. Now I grouped 2 beats like this, but now what I'll do is instead of doing a whole bar, I'll do the first beat by itself, then I'll do 2 1 2 1. So I group different notes together. Sorry. Okay, then you can do it sort by 2. You can do it in double tonguing. It's as many different ways you can do it in rhythms like that. You can do and then wait. So I did long, short, da 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 da, then short, long, da 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 da, like the opposite. And then I did 1 long, 3 short, da 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 da, and then I did the opposite, 3 short, 1 long, da 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 da. That's a good way to practice that. And I would say go by little section, you know, and you don't have to learn the whole thing all at once. So obviously we're in a live stream right now, and you can ask your questions and put your comments in the live stream chat. And also, I'm always very happy to answer your questions. So I'll do the second line now. I didn't hear the F's that well. Okay, so you see here, I think it was all... Okay, so all that was all chromatic, all semitones everywhere. But then you get here, you have where I stopped. So you have a whole tone here between the E and F sharp. Maybe you write it down, maybe you just notice it and you know it's there, but because you have this pattern of chromaticism everywhere and here it's broken, that's interesting to remember. Okay. You know, except like, of course, there's a fourth between the C and the F, but that's very obvious because you see a jump. But everything else, visually, it's all close. So I think it's, for me, when I learned it, I had to focus more on those whole tones, semitones things than really seeing a fourth was way more obvious, you know. Okay. And when I replayed it, you know, first time the F didn't come out so well, and I just focused a bit more on my F, you know. Sometimes it happens when you play very fast. If there's a note you don't hear well, try to just identify which note it is and then focus on this note, and usually it works. So I'll go from that A. Okay, so here I could put my thumb. Okay, because you have chromaticism, it's not that easy to decide. Are you gonna put the thumb in the back here and just do your B, your easy B? Or are you gonna do the long form B with your index finger here? Because you will have B naturals, and sometimes it's not that comfortable to go from one key to the next with your thumb. I personally don't like it, but there's spots where you can do it because you don't have B's in a long time. So just before A would be a good example of that. You don't have B's for a while. So once you get there, you have that thing with the E, F sharp. When you get to that A, you can do da 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 da, and you put it there on the A, on the B flat, and then you can be like that for a while. Yeah, it works. But here, when you have just after that, da 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 da, you have a B, so of course you can't do it anymore. So yeah, just remember you have this B here with the thumb, you have this B here, you even have a B, a B flat, I'm so sorry, B flat with the thumb, B flat here with the index finger, and you can even do it here on the little spatula that's just next to the index finger, just left to it. Yeah. It even works if you leave like so you can leave it on that spatula while you're playing the A, and when you'll release it, look, I leave it there and I go. So you wouldn't be able to do. Oh yeah, it works. But the sound is better like that. Sometimes I use it. So when you learn it, you can decide where, if you're using which B you're gonna use, you know, and where. Okay, we had flutter tonguing. I'm sure some people are wondering what it is. It's first of all, we have a video about it. So if you really don't know, you can go and check it now or later, how to do flutter tonguing. Flutter tonguing, it's just doing like the letter R and play the flute at the same time. So I think all that is like, of course you have a fourth once in a while, but in general it's all semitones. So that's good. Is there any question yet?
One is, I would like to know how you warm up before going to a practice session.
Okay. Well, today I gave a lesson. I played a little bit while I was giving a lesson, and then after that, just before I started this, I did a very, very quick warm-up. I did like long tones like this. The whole register going all the way down and then going all the way up. And then I did it piano, slurred by 5. All the way down and then all the way up. I went back like. Then I did octaves. Like that. Then I did loud in the low, very low note, and piano in the very high note, like that. Sorry. piano in the high notes. Because if I work on the most difficult things in the registers, you know, then I feel that I'm kind of ready to do pretty much what I want. I did a little bit of articulations, like slurred and kata kata and taka taka and kata 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 and taka taka kata, and that's pretty much it, I think. So yeah, that's it. Okay, so now I was at ta 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 ta. So here, it's pianissimo in fact, so tiny aperture here. Keep it small. Have a very good support here. And taka 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 taka. Of course, you need to use double tonguing there. You can also practice it kata 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 kata. I think it makes it easier after that. I remember when I learned Poulenc Sonata, you know, that piece, yeah. So there's a whole part that goes and I didn't have fast enough double tonguing, so I took a whole technical exercise and I doubled each note. I think it was EJ4 in the Tafalen and Gobert, but you could take any one of them and double each note. So let's say you take EJ1 for example and you go I'm sure when I started I was probably like I was probably not very fast, but I remember EJ4 is like 8 pages long, and at the end I was quite tired, but it was there, you know, I was able to do it. So those types of things, you need to do it quite a bit before it becomes easy. You can also practice just without your flute going taka 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 taka.
Do you have any tips on octave jumps?
Octave jumps. I think we have some videos about that, but don't overdo it with your mouth. There's not that much going on here. There's a slight movement with the lower lip. Personally, I try not to move the upper lip. I leave it close to the teeth. I don't leave it glued to the teeth. I don't make it tensed. I just let it rest on the teeth. Yeah, I just let it rest there. And the lower lip moves a little bit. When I go in the high register, it goes a bit forward and then it goes back. You know, I'll show without the flute. I go low, high, low. Very tiny movement. But nothing moves here. So there's that. And then there's the airspeed. Low, fast. So slower air in the low register and faster air in the high register. And you can hear it maybe if I'm and I don't feel the air coming from the same spot in my belly when I push it. It's like the faster air comes from higher in my belly and the slower air comes a bit lower. I don't think about all that, but when I'm playing, but if I have a problem, I can go back to it and be like, oh, am I supporting from the right place? Am I moving too much here? So those are things you can look at, and hopefully they can become something that are something automatic that you don't have to think about at one point, but knowing how to do it is a good insurance. So when it doesn't go so well, you can go back to, oh, what's the diagnosis here? How can I fix this?
How can you play piano in the high register? They're having trouble with that.
Yeah, I think we have a couple of videos about that too. The answer to almost everything is support. You need to support. You need to have fast air, but not a lot of air. So a tiny aperture here. And what I feel personally when I play piano in the high register is I don't feel the air going like this. I feel the air going like this. It's as if it's just resonating in my head, and I don't really feel the air going out. I feel the resonance in the head. And it's almost, if you do, you try to open the back of your mouth. Okay, I know it sounds weird right now, but try to make it sound like that. Really open in the back. It's more efficient for me to think like that than to think pushing the air out. Or so I think about being very firm around my waist and opening the back of my mouth. That's pretty much what I do. And you can also do another thing is think about pushing the air from lower in your back, as if you are pushing from like middle of your spine. It works with a lot of my students to push from the middle of the spine, like, yeah. So you can try that. Make sure you're not tensed, because if you're tensed, it makes everything more difficult. It still has to be, it's a small aperture, but it's not tensed. Anything else? Okay, so after...
Is this your favorite piece of music?
No, it's not my favorite, but I like it. It's cute. I don't have... I like a lot of different things. Okay, so I'll go from after this... and then... So here you have a whole tone again. It's the same thing. It's the E, F sharp. So you have to be careful with that. And also here you have to take a very, very big breath before that. Oh, that, like 3 before C. Take a big breath, because here you have almost no space to breathe. So what I do is I take a big one before I start there. And then where I just stopped, where you have the A. So you have a bar where you go up to an A. After that A, I take another breath, and then I take another one at D after the E, and then after that I have a spot a few bars later where I have a little rest. What you could do too is decide to cut some notes, and you could take more obviously, but I try to play a bit like not too loud so I don't lose all my air all at once. I'll try again. I'll try to do the whole thing without breathing. Well, no, not without breathing. Like breathing in the spots that I just picked. What did I do? I'll do it again. Down, but I went there. So it works, but it might not work for everyone. So maybe you can, like usually after the first note of the bar is a good spot to breathe. So you can just take a small one there. You can even cut a note. So let's say, let's see here at C. Let's say I could go just before C. So I took a breath during that D sharp, and I didn't play the D sharp. It went da 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 da. So it can also work totally fine to do that, and you can do that in a couple of spots, especially when you start a new group. They're all slurred, 2 bars by 2 bars. You could take one just after each E there, Okay, so I'll start from the A. When you have... So when you have that whole tone between the E and F sharp, and I start on that A just after, and you'll see that just before D, you still have another whole tone there. So two in fact. So I'll go from there. So here you have, so it's like a minor, A minor scale for a little while. So yeah, here it's not chromatic, so you have to be aware of that. And then at D, I had a little doubt, so I'll look into it. So it's okay. That's it.
Do you find your left pinky's position uncomfortable?
No, why?
Somebody's asking.
Maybe it looks weird. I think
Yeah.
I noticed once that it looks weird because it's a bit high.
It's a bit short, I think. Like it's flat and short sometimes.
Huh? My pinky is short?
Maybe. That's
My
why
pinky
it's
is very short compared to my other fingers. It goes like way lower than the line of the joint here. But no, I don't have any problem with it. So I never had pain and I never had technical difficulties with it. But I know it's a bit far from the notes, and it's usually better to stay closer. If you look at videos of Jean-Pierre Rampal, the great flutist who, he published a lot and everything, and he played a lot, he actually put his pinky under the G sharp key, and he would never be late. I can't understand it. I would always be late, but it's I wouldn't teach it that way, but he was still a great flutist. And the same with me. I wouldn't teach my students to have their pinky so high, but I think with the shape of my hand, that's a way for me to have the less amount of tension. It's straight with myself. It might not be straight with my flute, but if you look at the bone, it stays straight with itself. And I think that's something we don't take into account enough when we play music. We try to be in line with our instrument. We should be in line with our bodies.
Is a hanging pinky a bad habit?
Hanging?
Yeah.
Meaning high?
In the air, probably.
As I said, here my pinky is in line with the whole hand. If it was higher, look here. So here it's in line, here it's not in line anymore. That I think would be very bad because it would put a lot of strain. Just doing it twice before a little while, I already had a little bit of pain in my hand. Like the best advice I can give people is be in line with your own body. Don't try to look good. Like it's not about, oh, does it look good? It's about, is it in line with myself, not the instrument? For example, if you play the piano is very straight. And people have a tendency to go like this. And when they go higher, they keep their hand in line with the piano. And they end up with their wrist being all twisted. Instead of being in line with their body and just going like this. It's the same with the flute. If I try to be in line with my flute and I push my pinky down, I put a lot of mental energy doing that, and also I put a lot of tension and stress in my finger. So try to keep everything in line. Here, a line, don't play with your arms like this, because here you're breaking the wrist. That's how I see it.
What's the end tempo marking, beats per minute?
I don't have one. I used to because I practiced it.
But what's comfortable for you, would you say, with that type of piece?
I think I used to practice it at 126. I thought it was, or 132 maybe. Let's see. Yeah, 132 I think is good. I could try to push it maybe at 144,
Okay, no, it was just curiosity.
But like,
not to show off.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that was pretty good. I'll go from a bit after D when you have the 16th rest, the first 16th rest. So that's all chromatic. here, you don't have chromaticism that much anymore. So I would think of it as a melodic minor. Okay, so starting on the E, F sharp, G sharp, A. So it's the tetrachord, you know, of the melodic minor, the upper 5, 6, 7, 8, and then you have the pentachord, the lower pentachord, A, B, C, D, E after that. So I would just think of an A minor melodic scale here. It's way easier that way because you're not in chromaticism anymore there. So you can circle it, write it down, A minor, melodic, whatever, and then you can also practice your A minor melodic scale. You can do that whole bar like this, going up and down and up and down. That's a very good way to practice it. I'll go just the breath before that. So you see here when I have the two E's, ta-da, just the second E, I take a breath after between the E and the D sharp because it's a very long way to go without breathing. So I go. So here you also have a whole tone in the. It's the same thing you had at the other octave very often, the E and F sharp. And then E. So at E, just after the A, I take another breath between the A and the G sharp. So and then here after that A between the A and the B flat, I take another one. And you see here E, F sharp again, that comes back. I'll practice ones from 2 before E. So it's a lot of the same patterns that come back again and again. What I did a lot, you can put it to a tempo that's challenging for you and do like 1 bar plus 1 note. That's a very good way to practice it. Let's say I start on the second line. And so on and so on, you know. Then you can play it slow, way slower, slowed by 2. And so on. And then you can do it in double tonguing and simple tonguing in different ways, you know. With rhythms, as I said before, and you don't have to learn the whole thing at once because anyways, once you know a part very well, you'll realize that there's motives coming back all the time, and then maybe you'll also have some spots that are very easy for you, and then you can identify the spots that are a bit more like little trouble spots that you might use more and practice more, you know. When I learn a piece, I don't practice everything equally. Some things I get way faster than others, so I don't practice them as much, and usually I write down somewhere or I just make a little circle or something on the side of my page, and I know, okay, I have to practice this spot a bit more, and once it's better, I just erase it. Don't practice everything exactly the same. Don't start always with the beginning. Maybe sometimes you want to do only E, and then sometimes you want to do only D or C. You don't have to always start from the beginning, because if you always start from the beginning, you're fresh in the beginning, your beginning will be very solid, but the ending might be a bit less solid because you're more tired at the end of your practice. So that's pretty much my tips for that piece. Practice your chromatic scales, practice the piece with different ways of doing it, like a technical exercise, and then after that you can add some dynamics. There's already dynamics in there, and make it a bit fun when you have the so it sounds like a bumblebee, and that little nervousness to it, a little crunchy. So yeah, that's pretty much what I can say about it.
They're making me play piccolo for March season. I need piccolo exercises. Do you have any? I think they both transfer over.
I think you can do pretty much any exercise that you have on the flute and do it on the piccolo. Like, do arpeggios. I think,
yeah, piccolos are arpeggios, yeah.
Arpeggios would be a good thing to do on your piccolo, or scales in thirds, like little intervals like that. You can do your scales. You can do just long tones on your piccolo, really. And it's the same. It's just a bit smaller, so smaller aperture, and don't forget to sustain all the time. Like, have the support there.
Do you have any tips for playing low notes fast? I'm practicing that a lot, but it doesn't get any better.
Can the person answer a question? Do you move a lot when you play the low notes? Like, do you try to get it with your head? Like,
Yeah, French toast has that.
Because if you're moving a lot, so the person asked, what can I do to play low note faster? Don't move your mouth, The only thing moving, if the person means tonguing low notes,
I guess so, or just...
probably tonguing them, it's the tongue, and it doesn't have to show. So look here, I'll play like a low D. You don't see any. It's not moving. It's just open. Keep the aperture here open. Don't go and do this, because you're gonna close the hole and you won't get any sound. And remember too that when you play low notes, the air has to do the whole flute. When you play a high note, maybe the air goes out here. When you play, let's say, a low C, the air goes out all the way there. It has to fill up the whole flute. So maybe you need to anticipate a little bit. Especially if you're coming from a high note, you also need to change your airspeed. And I talked about it a bit earlier. Just think of it a bit lower, the airspeed, and also bring back that chin. Because in the high register, you might push it forward a little bit, then you bring it back. But make sure you're not doing too many movements, because that's usually a big problem. And anticipate your pinky. If you have to push your pinky, maybe push it a bit faster, a bit ahead of the note. And if you have difficulty sliding it, just do it here or behind your ear, and then it will slide way better after. Little trick.
Do you have any tips for the left hand index finger and making it comfortable, and also the left hand pinky for the A flat? My pinky slips and it's so short it doesn't even reach it.
Okay. I'm sure that those two things are related, that your index and your pinky are not comfortable. It's the whole hand position that's probably not comfortable. Do you raise your hand like this? Do you raise your elbow? Because try to keep everything in line with yourself here. Like, my wrist is like this. It's not like that, It's like this. It's still in a range of motion that's not strenuous for my fingers. So try to put your whole hand on your flute, with all the fingers. in place, and you know, you do like a hook with your index, and you put it under that second key, the key where you put your index, and try to figure out like how to place it so that your wrist, you know, it's really about you and your body and how to find it. And I know some people ask questions, and I do my best to answer them. But sometimes you might need someone to really look at you. You can find a teacher in your, like around where you live, or you can take a lesson online with me or with Nicola. If you're interested in flutes online, flute lessons online, just email us at info@theflutechannel.com, and we'll give you all the details. Sometimes you just need a couple of lessons, and it might help a lot with little issues that maybe you can't deal, like maybe you need an outside look on what you're doing, because we don't see ourselves as well.
Yeah, that goes with this other person's question. It says, I don't know if I'm an intermediate or beginner player. I have a passion for flute, but I play oboe in band. How would I know what level am I? A teacher would be...
Yeah, a teacher would tell you your level. Plus, and if you're not sure, maybe start from the beginning and just go a bit faster, and you'll get to intermediate, you know. I'm working very hard on our method right now, and it will be out soon, I think. It's going to be a video method, but accompanied with a PDF, and from the very beginning to an intermediate level, and then I'm going to be working on the intermediate book to continue your learning process.
Okay, last question. Maybe you want to play the whole piece or not? I don't know.
Another question, and then I play the whole thing? Okay.
Do you know anybody with a sideways embouchure, and can you try it?
Yeah, I know my first flute teacher had a sideway embouchure. Great flutist, beautiful sound. I can't try it really because it's with the shape of your teeth and mouth, and it's just, sometimes it's like that. It doesn't matter if it's, you know, it's like for the hands. You know, we have different bodies, and sideway embouchures can work very well. I think there's very well-known flutists that have sideway embouchures.
Ron Burknikoff.
Yeah.
That's the only ones I know of.
Yeah. Okay. So do I do it with a metronome or just like?
Yeah, use yours.
I'll try it 144. Let's see. The whole thing. If I make a mistake, I go on. So yeah.
Cool.
So I hope this was helpful. So if you're looking for a flute, you can check our code TFC with the Flute Center of New York. You can go on their website, flutesforsale.com. It's a number 4. And if you use our code, it helps us, and it also gives you some perks. So you can see all of it in the description. You can also see our merch store. It's all there. You have t-shirts and mugs, and also you have a very nice poster with all the fingerings and scales and trill fingerings. And then we will have the FluteCon in August. You can go and check at flutecon.com, and you can register there very soon. Like, you can just put your email and we'll send you everything when it's ready. That will be like a little festival slash master classes online. You can watch in, you can participate. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be really tailored to what people want, you know. So it's gonna be about you and your needs and what you want to learn. And am I forgetting something?
We already do the Flute Center New York.
Yeah. Oh, we have a Patreon, and when you're a member of Patreon, you have access to our live podcast. If you're not a member, you have access, but not to the live version, and it helps us out a lot. And thanks to all our patrons, and you can go and check it out. There's different tiers and different perks that go with it.
And also in the pin comment. For South by Southwest, that starts tomorrow. If you want to vote for us,
okay. So we want to do a talk at South by Southwest. We've done a talk to Podex recently in the spring. It went very well. We loved it. People loved it too. And so now we want to do this talk. And there's a part of the voting process that comes from people actually voting for us. So please go and vote for us.
Starts tomorrow until the 23rd.
So it's from tomorrow until the 23rd of August. And
the links are in the pin comment in this video.
In the pin comment in this video, click the link and go vote for us, please. And we'll be so happy to do this. Yeah. So is there?
Everyone also said you did an amazing job. Lots of people.
Thank you so much. And also, I thought I forgot something.
New York. If you think I forgot something,
maybe I forgot something. It doesn't matter. So I hope this was helpful, and if you liked it, please like it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, and see you next time. Thanks for watching.